He's working late again. Dear Margaret, my mother-in-law said sweetly over the phone. You know how demanding his clients are. I looked at the security camera feed on my laptop. My husband, David's car, was parked outside a fancy apartment building across town. Of course, Margaret. Thanks for telling me. My name is Olivia. I'm 34, and I'm watching my 10-year marriage fall apart, piece by piece. The worst part isn't just that David is cheating, it's that his whole family, especially his mother, is helping him lie about it. You should try to understand, Margaret went on, her voice full of fake sympathy. Running a law firm is stressful. Sometimes he needs relief. I muted the call and laughed bitterly. Relief? Was that what they were calling his 26-year-old paralegal now? I unmuted. You're right, Margaret. I'm sure David is very stressed. On the screen, I saw the young woman get into his car. Right on time. That's the spirit, dear. Just be patient. He always comes home, doesn't he? Yes, he did. Smelling like expensive perfume we couldn't afford on just his salary. I glanced at my second screen, spreadsheets of every suspicious transaction, every late-night meeting, every lie. I appreciate your concern, Margaret, but I have to go. Work is calling. I hung up before she could reply. My eyes stayed on the screen as David's car drove away. 3 months ago, I would have cried. 3 months ago, I still believed his excuses. But that was before I found a marriage registration form for Thailand in his briefcase. Before I learned he planned to marry his mistress without divorcing me or splitting our assets. My phone buzzed. A message from my private investigator. Meeting confirmed, full proof collected. I smiled. David had no idea about the hidden camera in his office. The one that caught him telling his mistress just yesterday. Once we're married in Thailand, Olivia won't know anything. The house, the firm's assets, they'll all stay mine. My laptop dinged, an email from our accountant confirming the shady transactions I had flagged. David thought he was being sneaky, moving money into a secret account. He didn't realize I had been tracking every dollar for months. That evening, Margaret called again, her voice smug. David just called me. He's closing a huge case tonight. Isn't it wonderful how hard he works? I pulled up a hotel receipt on my screen, a luxury suite booked under his company card. Yes, Margaret. Really wonderful. You know, Olivia, she hesitated, pretending to care. If you put more effort into your looks, maybe you wouldn't work such long hours. I thought about my designer clothes, my daily gym sessions, my successful career. None of it mattered to Margaret. To her, I would never be good enough for her son. Maybe you're right, I said, keeping my voice steady. I should probably focus more on myself. She didn't catch the hidden meaning in my words. She never did. Later that night, I got a text from David's sister, Emma. Hey Liv, we need to talk. It's about David. I called her immediately. Emma was different from the rest of the family, less willing to lie. I can't stay quiet anymore, she blurted out. David's planning something awful. He and Mom, they're hiding money. He's marrying that girl in Thailand next month. Since there's no legal divorce or asset split, they think you'll get nothing. I leaned back, sipping my coffee. I know, Emma. You know, she sounded shocked. I've known for months. I'm gathering proof. Will you make a statement about what you've seen? Silence. Then, yes. What they're doing is wrong, Liv. I'll help. After the call, I sat in the dark, thinking about all the lies David and his family had told. They thought they were smart. They had no idea I was ahead of them. My phone buzzed again. Margaret, probably with another excuse. I ignored it. Soon, they'd all realize just how badly they had underestimated me. The front door opened. David walked in, trying to be quiet. I cleared my screens and put on my usual act. Working late again. I called out. He stopped in the doorway, loosening his tie, flashing a guilty smile. Big case. You know how it is. I smiled back. Of course. Your mother called to tell me. His shoulders relaxed. Good old Margaret, always covering for him. If only they knew what was coming. Everything changed 3 weeks later, when Margaret made her first mistake. I was reviewing security footage in my office when she called, her voice unusually agitated. Olivia, dear, I need you to sign some papers for the firm. Just some routine documents. I can bring them by today. I smiled, knowing exactly what those routine documents were. My PI had already obtained copies, transfer of ownership forms that would remove my name from our joint properties. all part of David's careful plan to leave me with nothing. Of course, Margaret, I'm working from home today. Stop by any time. She arrived an hour later, clutching a manila envelope and wearing her fakest smile. I'd set up a hidden camera in the living room, ready to capture everything. These just need your signature, she said, spreading the papers on the coffee table. David mentioned you've been so busy lately, he didn't want to bother you with paperwork. I picked up the first document, pretending to read it carefully. How thoughtful of him. And you bringing these by yourself. Well, you know how it is. Family helping family. She patted my hand condescendingly. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Before I sign, Margaret, could you explain exactly what these documents are for? She shifted uncomfortably. Just routine property transfers, dear. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about? I met her eyes steadily. Like David's upcoming trip to Thailand? Nothing to worry about there either. The color drained from her face. I don't know what you're talking about. I pulled out my laptop and turned it toward her. On the screen was a video of David and his mistress in his office, discussing their marriage plans. Margaret's hands began to shake. How did you? I know everything, Margaret. The affair, the hidden assets, the plans for a secret marriage. I have proof of all of it. I started playing another video, this one of Margaret herself, helping David move money between accounts. You've been spying on us? Her voice rose with indignation. No, Margaret. I've been protecting myself. Did you really think I was that stupid, that naive? She stood up abruptly, gathering the papers. You'll regret this. David will never forgive you for going behind his back. I laughed, actually laughed. Like he went behind mine? Like you helped him do it? Does Emma know about all of this too? At the mention of Emma, Margaret froze. Leave your sister-in-law out of this. Too late. She came to me weeks ago, told me everything. She's willing to testify about what you and David planned. Margaret sank back onto the couch, her carefully maintained facade crumbling. He's my son. I was protecting him. No, you were helping him commit fraud. Would you like to see the evidence I've gathered? The bank records? The hotel receipts? The property transfer documents you tried to hide? Tears began to form in her eyes, but I felt no sympathy. This woman had spent years undermining me, helping her son deceive me, all while pretending to be a caring mother-in-law. What do you want? She whispered. I want you to call David. Right now. Tell him to come home immediately. Her hands trembled as she pulled out her phone. I listened as she made the call, her voice breaking as she told him it was an emergency. Within 20 minutes, I heard his car in driveway. David burst through the door, then stopped short at the scene before him. His mother in tears, me calmly sitting with a laptop full of evidence. What's going on? He demanded. Show him, Margaret said quietly. I turned the laptop toward him and started playing the videos, one after another, irrefutable proof of his deception. His face went from anger to shock to fear. How long have you known? He finally asked. Long enough to document everything. The affair, the fraud, the plans for Thailand. Did you really think I wouldn't figure it out? He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture I once found endearing. Now it just seemed pathetic. Olivia, we can talk about this. No, David, we can't. But your lawyer can talk to mine. I handed him a business card. Everything goes through them now. You'll ruin him, Margaret protested weakly. No, Margaret. You and David did that yourselves. I just gathered the evidence. David started pacing, his legal mind probably racing through scenarios. The firm will survive, but not with you at the helm. The partners might be interested in knowing how you've been mishandling client funds to finance your affair. His face went pale. You wouldn't. Try me. I stood up, gathering my laptop. I've arranged for a hotel room. You can stay here tonight, pack your things. But tomorrow, I want you gone. Margaret stood too, her earlier confidence replaced by defeat. All this time we thought. You thought I was weak, naive, easy to manipulate. I smiled. That was your first mistake. The aftermath unfolded exactly as I planned. 2 days after the confrontation, Margaret called me in tears. David's mistress left him, she sobbed. She said she didn't sign up for all this drama. How could you do this to him? I sat in my office, reviewing the latest documents from my lawyer. I didn't do anything to him, Margaret. He did this to himself. You helped. He's staying with me now, she continued. He's devastated. The partners are reviewing his position at the firm. Because of the evidence I sent them about his misuse of client funds, I kept my voice calm. That was his choice, too. She was quiet for a moment. I never thought it would end like this. No, you thought it would end with me penniless and alone while your son started a new life. How's that working out? The line went dead. Emma came to see me the next day, bringing coffee and a hesitant smile. The family's in chaos, she said, settling onto my couch. Mom's beside herself. David's career is imploding, and his mistress is apparently already dating someone else. And how are you? I asked, genuinely curious. She'd taken a big risk coming forward. Relieved, actually. She sipped her coffee. I've spent years watching them manipulate people, always getting away with it. It was exhausting. I nodded, understanding completely. Thank you, Emma. Your statement to the lawyers made a difference. I just told the truth. Finally, she paused. Mom's not speaking to me now. Give her time. She's learning actions have consequences. The divorce proceedings moved quickly. David, facing potential disbarment and criminal charges for financial misconduct, agreed to my terms without argument. The prenup he tried to circumvent with his Thailand scheme now worked against him. I got the house, half the firm's value, and a clear conscience. His mistress, the young paralegal, found a new job at a different firm. Last I heard, she was dating one of the partners there. David's careful plans had crumbled so completely, it was almost sad. Almost. Margaret tried to salvage things one last time, showing up at my door unannounced. We're still family, she pleaded. Can't we just forget all this unpleasantness? I looked at the woman who had enabled her son's worst behaviors, who had helped him try to destroy me, who had spent years undermining my marriage while pretending to support it. No, Margaret, we're not family. We never really were. You made sure of that. I was protecting my son. You were protecting his lies. There's a difference. I started to close the door, then paused. You know what the saddest part is? If you'd raised him to be honest, to face consequences, he might not be in this situation now. 6 months later, I sat in my newly redecorated living room with Emma, sharing a bottle of wine and catching up. David had taken a job at a small firm in another state, his reputation in tatters. Margaret had thrown herself into church activities, telling anyone who would listen about her ungrateful former daughter-in-law who had destroyed her family. Mom still doesn't get it, Emma said, shaking her head. She actually asked me yesterday if I thought you'd consider dropping the charges if David apologized. I couldn't help but laugh. Some people never learn. But some do. Emma raised her glass. To new beginnings. And to facing consequences, I added, clinking my glass against hers. My phone buzzed. A text from Margaret. David's met someone new. A nice girl who understands family loyalty. I hope you're happy with what you've done. I showed it to Emma, who rolled her eyes. Want to tell her about the background check you ran on the nice girl who's actually married? No, I smiled, deleting the message. Let them figure it out themselves this time. Looking around my peaceful home, I felt nothing but relief. The evidence I'd gathered was safely stored away, a reminder that I wasn't the naive wife they thought I was. The firm was thriving under new leadership, my career was soaring, and I had kept the one worthwhile relationship from my marriage, my friendship with Emma. You know, Emma said thoughtfully, you taught me something important through all this. Standing up for yourself doesn't make you the bad guy. Sometimes it makes you the hero of your own story. I thought about the months of careful planning, the evidence gathering, the quiet strength it took to wait for the right moment. I thought about Margaret's tears, David's shocked face, and the collapse of their carefully constructed lies. Not the hero, I corrected her. Just someone who finally stopped accepting the role of victim. The sun was setting outside, casting a warm glow through windows that were finally truly mine. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even, it's about getting free.